Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why you have become so consumed with finding a job? Perhaps you have spent months searching, submitting applications, attending interviews, waiting for someone to call, and wondering why one door after another seems to close. You may have begun to think that your entire future depends upon whether some employer decides to accept you. But there is a deeper question that must be asked: where have you placed your trust? A job can provide an income, but a job is not your ultimate provider. A company may employ you, but it does not determine your destiny. An employer may give you a position, but that position does not determine your worth. Your life is ultimately in the hands of God. God is not limited by the structures of this world. He is not dependent upon a corporation, a government, an employer, or an economic system in order to provide for his children. This does not mean that work is evil. It does not mean that a person should become idle or refuse honest labor. Work is good. Honest labor is honorable. But there is a profound difference between Jar's working with purposes and becoming enslaved to the fear of survival. Many people have allowed the search for employment to become the center of their lives. They wake up thinking about money. They go to sleep thinking about money. They measure themselves according to their salary. They measure their success according to their position. They measure their worth according to whether another person is willing to hire them. And eventually they begin to believe that without a particular job, they have no future. That is where the problem begins. Your worth does not come from a company. Your dignity does not come from a title. Your purpose does not come from a paycheck. And your ultimate security cannot come from an employer. Your security must be found in God. Some of you have been praying for a particular job, and that door has remained closed. You applied, you waited, you were rejected, you tried again, another door closed, then another, and perhaps you concluded that everything was going wrong. But sometimes a closed door is not merely an obstacle. Sometimes it forces us to stop and ask whether we have placed our confidence in the wrong thing. There are moments when God permits a person to experience rejection because that person needs to learn a deeper dependence upon Him. This does not mean that every rejection is a direct sign from God that you must never seek employment again. Rather, it means that you must never allow employment to become your master. Do not allow fear of unemployment to become stronger than your trust in God. Do not allow the opinions of employers to determine your identity. Do not allow the uncertainty of the economy to destroy your peace. God remains God regardless of whether the economy is strong or weak. God remains God whether you receive an offer tomorrow or remain unemployed for another month. God remains God whether men approve of you or reject you. Your circumstances change. God does not. You may say, but how will I provide for my family? How will I pay my bills? How will I survive? Those are legitimate concerns. But the answer is not to place your entire confidence in a human system. Look at the history of God's providence. God provided for His people in the wilderness. He provided food where there appeared to be no food. He brought water from the rock. He multiplied what seemed insufficient. He provided for the widow when her resources were almost gone. He sustained His servants in circumstances that appeared impossible. The lesson is not that we should refuse to work. The lesson is that God is capable of providing through means we cannot presently see. You do not have to understand every detail before you trust Him. You have to remain faithful. You have to act responsibly. You have to use the abilities God has given you. And you have to stop treating a paycheck as though it were your God. There is another reason why some people experience such profound restlessness in their work. They have mistaken survival for the purpose of life. They believe, if only I get this position, I will finally be happy. If only I earn this amount, I will finally have peace. If only this company accepts me, everything will finally be secure. But then the position comes and the peace does not. The salary increases and the emptiness remains. The promotion arrives and the anxiety continues. Why? Because no earthly occupation can give the human soul what only God can give. A job may feed the body. It cannot save the soul. A salary may pay the bills. It cannot give your life ultimate meaning. A position may give you recognition. It cannot give you eternal purpose. Only God can order your life toward its proper end. You were not created merely to wake up, work, receive a paycheck, consume, and repeat the cycle until your life ends. You were created for God. You were created to know Him, love Him, serve Him, and ultimately possess Him. And within that larger purpose, God gives each person particular responsibilities, gifts, abilities, duties, and opportunities. That is where your attention should be directed. Instead of asking only, who will hire me? Ask, what has God entrusted to me? What abilities has He given me? What responsibilities are already before me? How can I use what I have for His glory? What work can I perform honestly and faithfully? What purpose should govern the way I live? This changes everything. Some people have buried their gifts because they are so obsessed with finding the perfect job. They have ideas they never pursue. They have abilities they never develop. They have talents they continually dismiss. They say, nobody will care. I am not qualified. I am too old. I am too young. I have failed before. But God can work through what appears small. A shepherd's staff can become an instrument of God's providence. A small amount of oil can become sufficient. A few loaves can become enough to feed thousands. The point is not that every person will become wealthy. The point is that you should not despise what God has placed into your hands. Do not bury your gifts because you are afraid. Do not compare your abilities with another person's. Do not assume that something is insignificant simply because it appears small. Place what you have into God's hands, then use it faithfully. Your talent is not merely something to admire. It is something to steward. Your intelligence is something to steward. Your strength is something to steward. Your creativity is something to steward. Your experience is something to steward. Your opportunities are something to steward. Everything you have ultimately belongs to God. Therefore, the question is not simply, how much can I earn? The deeper question is, how faithfully can I use what God has entrusted to me? That is the difference between living merely for wages and living according to a higher purpose. But understand this carefully. God is not against work. God is not against employment. God is not against earning a living. God is not commanding every person to abandon his occupation. That would be an abuse of the message. The real danger is allowing employment to become slavery. Work is good when it is ordered properly. Labor is honorable when it is performed honestly. Providing for one's family is a responsibility. Serving others through one's profession can be a genuine good. But when fear controls you, when money becomes your master, when approval becomes your obsession, and when your occupation becomes your identity, something has gone wrong. You are no longer simply working. You are becoming enslaved, and God did not create you to worship the systems of this world. A company can dismiss you. A position can disappear. An economy can collapse. A business can fail. A contract can end. An employer can change his mind. But none of those things can remove the fact that you belong to God. No human being has the authority to rewrite the purpose God has for your life. That is why you must learn to hold earthly things with an open hand, work faithfully, seek legitimate opportunities, make prudent decisions, provide for those entrusted to your care. But never place your ultimate hope in these things. Your hope must remain in God. The world tells you your value is your occupation. God reminds you your value comes from your dignity as a human person created by Him. The world tells you your success is measured by your income. God reminds you faithfulness matters more than worldly status. The world tells you get ahead at any cost. God tells you seek first what is right. The world tells you protect yourself. God teaches you to trust His providence while acting responsibly. The world tells you you are what you possess. God reminds you that earthly possessions pass away. This is why you must stop allowing the fear of unemployment to control your life. Fear will make you compromise. Fear will make you accept anything. Fear will make you believe that you have no options. Fear will convince you that your entire future depends upon one employer saying yes, but God is greater than your circumstances. If one door closes, remain faithful. If one opportunity disappears, continue seeking what is good. If you are rejected, do not conclude that you have been rejected by God. Human rejection does not equal divine rejection. Sometimes the path you expected is not the path you will ultimately walk. That does not mean you should stop acting. It means you should stop worshiping your plans. Think about the beginning of creation. Human beings were not created merely to become employees within an economic structure. They were created to cultivate, govern, care for creation, and exercise responsibility under God. Human work, therefore, has dignity. But its dignity comes from God. Your work is meant to serve something greater than yourself. You are not merely producing money. You are exercising gifts. You are serving others. You are fulfilling responsibilities. You are participating in the order God has established. That is why work can be sacred when it is rightly ordered. But work becomes destructive when it consumes the very person who performs it. Some of you have allowed the desire for financial security to bury the things that matter most. You have sacrificed prayer. You have sacrificed family. You have sacrificed peace. You have sacrificed your moral principles. You have become so afraid of losing your job that you are willing to lose everything else. Stop. Step back. Remember who you are. You are not a machine created to produce. You are a person created by God. Your soul has eternal significance. Do not gain the whole world and lose what matters most. Perhaps God has given you an idea. Perhaps He has placed an ability within you. Perhaps there's a responsibility you have been avoiding. Perhaps there is some good work you know you should begin. Do not automatically dismiss it because it does not resemble a traditional career. But also do not assume that every inner desire is automatically a command from God. Discern, pray, seek wisdom, examine your motives, take counsel, act prudently. And then when you recognize the good path before you, have the courage to walk it. Faith does not mean recklessness. Trust in God does not mean abandoning reason. Providence does not cancel responsibility. Faith means that you do what is right while refusing to believe that everything depends upon you. You may be thinking, what if I fail? Then learn. What if I am rejected? Then remain faithful. What if the plan does not work? Then discern again. What if I lose money? Then act prudently and begin again. What if people laugh at me? Their opinion does not determine your worth. The important question is not whether everyone approves of you. The important question is whether you are living truthfully before God. Music, there will always be people who measure life according to worldly standards. They will ask, what is your salary? What is your position? Where do you work? How successful are you? But those questions do not measure the eternal value of a human soul. A person can possess great wealth and be spiritually poor. Another person can possess very little and yet be rich in faith, charity, virtue, and love. Therefore, do not allow the standards of the world to become the standards by which you judge your life. God sees what men do not see. He sees your intentions. He sees your sacrifices. He sees your struggles. He sees your faithfulness. He sees the good that no one applauds. So if you are currently searching for work, do not despair. Pray, act, apply, learn, improve, seek honest opportunities, ask for help when necessary. Use your gifts, be responsible. But while you do these things, remember, your employer is not your God. Your salary is not your salvation. Your position is not your identity. Your career is not your destiny in the ultimate sense. God alone is your final end. And if you already have a job, this message still applies to you. Do not misunderstand it as an instruction to abandon your employment. Instead, ask whether you have allowed your work to become an idol. Do you trust your company more than God? Do you fear losing your position more than you fear offending God? Do you measure yourself entirely by professional success? Have you sacrificed your family, your prayer, your moral integrity, or your peace merely to advance your career? If so, something needs to change. Work faithfully. But do not worship your work. Serve your employer honestly. But do not make your employer your master. Receive your wages with gratitude, but do not place your heart in your wages. There is freedom in understanding this. When you realize that God is your ultimate provider, you can work without fear. You can succeed without pride. You can experience failure without despair. You can receive promotion without believing that you have become more valuable. You can lose a position without believing that your life has lost its meaning, because your identity is rooted somewhere deeper. It is rooted in God. This is the freedom you must recover. Do not be ruled by fear. Do not be ruled by money. Do not be ruled by the opinions of men. Do not allow worldly systems to tell you who you are. Lift your eyes higher. Ask God what faithfulness looks like today. Ask what responsibilities He has placed before you. Ask how your gifts can be used for good. Ask how your work can serve others. Ask how your life can become an offering rather than merely a pursuit of comfort. You do not have to know everything today. You do not have to understand the entire future. You do not have to possess every resource before taking the next faithful step. You need wisdom. You need courage. You need perseverance. And above all, you need trust in God. If God gives you a legitimate responsibility, He will give you the grace necessary to fulfill it. If a door closes, do not despair. If another opens, do not become proud. If you experience success, give thanks. If you experience failure, learn. In every circumstance, remain faithful. Do not spend your entire life chasing wages while forgetting your purpose. Do not spend your entire life trying to impress people who will eventually forget your name. Do not sacrifice your soul merely to maintain an appearance of success. There is something greater than worldly advancement. There is something greater than financial security. There is something greater than professional recognition. It is faithfulness to God, and when your work is placed beneath that higher purpose, work receives its proper place. So today, make a decision. You will not allow fear to govern you. You will not allow a job title to define you. You will not allow a paycheck to become your source of hope. You will not despise honest labor. You will not become lazy. You will not abandon responsibility. Instead, you will work faithfully, use your gifts wisely, pursue legitimate opportunities, and place your ultimate confidence in God. You will say, Lord, I will do what is mine to do, but I will remember that everything ultimately comes from you. I will work, but I will not worship my work. I will seek opportunities, but I will not make them my God. I will provide for my family, but I will remember that you are the ultimate provider. I will use my gifts, but I will remember that you are the one who gave them. I will plan, but I will submit my plans to your providence. And when fear tells you that everything depends upon one employer, remember God is greater. When anxiety tells you that one rejection has destroyed your future, remember God is greater. When discouragement tells you that your gifts are insignificant, remember God is greater. When the world tells you that your worth is measured by your salary, remember God is greater. When you are tempted to believe that survival is the highest purpose of your existence, remember you were created for something greater than mere survival. You were created for God. Therefore, do not live as though your entire future rests upon the hands of men. Live with trust, work with diligence, act with prudence. Use your gifts, serve others. Fulfill your responsibilities, and place everything into the hands of divine providence. If God opens a door, enter it with gratitude. If He closes a door, do not lose hope. If He gives you work, perform it faithfully. If you are temporarily without work, do not conclude that you are without purpose. Your purpose did not disappear because your employment did. Your dignity did not disappear because an employer rejected you. Your calling to live faithfully before God did not disappear because your circumstances changed. So lift your eyes. Stop measuring your entire existence by employment. Stop believing that your life begins when someone hires you. Your life is already happening. Your responsibilities are already before you. Your gifts are already within you. Your relationship with God is already calling for your attention. Do not wait for a paycheck before you begin living faithfully. Do not wait for a promotion before you begin serving. Do not wait for worldly approval before you begin using the gifts God has given you. Begin now. Take the next faithful step. And when you wake tomorrow, do not wake merely asking, "Who will hire me?" Ask,
"Lord, what are you asking me today?"
Do not ask only, "How much can I earn?" Ask, "How can I serve?" Do not ask only, "How can I become successful?" Ask, "How can I become faithful?" That change in perspective can transform the way you live. God is not calling you to live in panic. He is calling you to trust. He is not calling you to abandon responsibility. He is calling you to order your responsibilities according to what truly matters. He is not telling you that work is meaningless. He is reminding you that work must never become your God. He is not telling you to stop acting. He is telling you to stop believing that everything depends upon you. So break free from the fear that says, "If I do not get this job, I am finished." You are not finished. Break free from the lie that says, "If this employer rejects me, I have no value." Your value is not determined by an employer. Break free from the belief that says, "If I lose this position, I have lost my purpose." Your ultimate purpose is greater than your position. And break free from the illusion that says, "Without this paycheck, God cannot provide." God is not limited to one source. His providence is greater than your imagination. Trust Him. Work faithfully. Use what He has given you. Do not bury your gifts. Do not surrender your principles for money. Do not allow fear to make you a slave. Do not confuse worldly success with true prosperity. True prosperity begins with being rightly ordered toward God. And if you find yourself in a season of uncertainty, remain faithful. If you are waiting, remain faithful. If you are searching, remain faithful. If you are working, remain faithful. If you are building something, remain faithful. If you have failed, get up and remain faithful. If people reject you, remain faithful. If people praise you, remain humble. Your circumstances will change, but your duty to God remains. Therefore, do not make the mistake of thinking that the only meaningful life is the life with the biggest salary, the most prestigious position, or the greatest worldly recognition. The world measures success by accumulation. God measures faithfulness differently. The world asks what you have achieved. God also sees what kind of person you have become. The world sees the position. God sees the soul. The world sees the paycheck. God sees the heart. The world sees the title. God sees the person. So seek God first. Let Him order the rest. Work when work is required. Seek employment when employment is appropriate. Build when you are called to build. Serve when you are called to serve. Create when you have something good to create. Provide for your family. Fulfill your obligations. But never forget the source of every good thing, God. You do not need to live your entire life as a slave to fear. You do not need to spend every waking moment worrying about whether another person will approve of you. You do not need to surrender your dignity to obtain worldly recognition. You need to live faithfully before God. So place your plans in His hands. Place your gifts in His hands. Place your work in His hands. Place your finances in His hands. Place your future in His hands. And then do what is yours to do. This is the real challenge. Can you work without worshiping work? Can you earn without worshiping money? Can you seek opportunity without worshiping success? Can you accept employment without making employment your identity? Can you experience rejection without losing hope? Can you experience success without losing humility? Can you trust God in both abundance and uncertainty? That is where true freedom begins. So rise from fear, rise from discouragement, rise from the belief that your entire future depends upon the approval of men. Use the gifts God has given you. Fulfill the responsibilities before you. Seek what is good. Work honestly, act prudently, and trust divine providence. Do not return to the slavery of fear. Do not allow the world to convince you that you are nothing without a position. You are more than your occupation. You are more than your salary. You are more than your professional title. Your life has a meaning that reaches beyond employment. And when you finally understand this, you will be able to say, "Bah, I will not make a paycheck my God. I will receive what God provides with gratitude. I will not remember that my dignity comes from God. I will not bury what God has entrusted to me. I will use my gifts faithfully. I will not fear to control my decisions. I will trust God while doing what is required of me. Trust God while doing what is required of me. And not freedom from honest work, not freedom from responsibility, but freedom from the slavery of fear, freedom from the worship of money, freedom from dependence upon human approval, freedom to serve God faithfully in whatever legitimate circumstances He permits. So if you are searching for work, search diligently, but pray more deeply. If you have work, work faithfully, but do not worship it. If you have lost work, do not lose hope. If a door has closed, do not assume your life has ended. Continue walking, continue praying, continue using your gifts. Continue fulfilling your responsibilities. Continue trusting God, because the ultimate source of your life is not a company. It is not a salary. It is not an employer. It is not an economic system. Your ultimate source is God. And therefore, do not look to the world as though it alone determines whether you have a future. Look higher. Trust deeper. Work faithfully. And place your future in the hands of the one who knows you better than any employer ever could. Do not live as a slave to employment. Do not live as a slave to money. Do not live as a slave to fear. Live as a person who knows that his life belongs to God. And whatever work He places before you, perform it with diligence, humility, gratitude, and faith. Whatever opportunities come, receive them wisely. Whatever opportunities disappear, do not despair. Whatever gifts you have been given, do not bury them. Whatever responsibilities you have received, fulfill them. And whatever the future holds, remember God remains faithful. So choose today, will you allow fear to rule you? Or will you trust God while faithfully doing your part? Will you measure your worth by the approval of men? Or will you remember the dignity God has given you? Will you live merely for a paycheck? Or will you place your work beneath the greater purpose of serving God? The choice is before you. Do not make employment your master. Do not make money your master. Do not make worldly success your master. Let God be first. Then let everything else take its proper place. Trust Him. Work faithfully. Use your gifts. Serve others. Fulfill your duties. Seek what is good, and never forget that your ultimate future is not held in the hands of an employer. It is held in the providence of God. So do not despair when one door closes. Do not become arrogant when another opens. Do not bury your gifts because you are afraid. Do not sell your principles for a salary. Do not sacrifice your soul for worldly success. Lift your eyes. Return your heart to God and take the next faithful step. For you were not created merely to survive. You were created to live faithfully before God. And when your work, your gifts, your responsibilities, your ambitions, and your future are all placed beneath that truth, you will begin to understand what genuine freedom means. Trust God, do your part, and leave the final outcome in His hands.